Good morning, everyone. I am Kathy Hester, and welcome to my kitchen. Today, I wanted to do another one of my two-parter slow cooker meals. Meals sounds much harder than what I'm going for today. I woke up and I just feel tired and a little bit listless. I might have some allergies going on. So I wanted to go ahead and preempting my, I don't know what to cook for dinner, or I just want to go to bed, or any of those things that could happen. So what I'm going to do is make myself a treat of vegetable soup. And vegetable soup is so easy to make. And I'm even doing the fancy version compared to what's in the Revised Vegan Slow Cooker. So if you guys have that, I have a recipe for, good morning, Miss Linda, how are you? What's in the freezer veggie soup. So this is very similar in that I'm starting out with some mixed vegetables. And I thought I had, good morning, Jackie. I thought I had a giant bag, but I did not. But that's okay. There's plenty here. So on days when you just know you're going to be too busy or you're tired, and you know, a lot's going on these days with the election, with COVID, with the, you know, are we getting a second wave? Do we need to stay in more? Or, you know, just maybe you're just tired. It's been a long year. So you need no excuses for wanting to make an easy meal for dinner. And what I tried out last week, I felt like worked really well. Which was because I never could figure out exactly how to do a live on slow cooker meals because 4 to 8 hours of cooking. So what I'm doing is throwing everything together in the morning. Then before I eat, I unveil it and show you all the little things that I change before I serve it. Because that's the difference between an okay slow cooker meal that, well, at least I have something to eat, and something that you're like, oh, this is so good. And it's a big difference in taste, but it's a tiny, tiny difference in time and what you're doing. So I thought usually I use my bouillon cubes, but I have some vegetarian, low sodium, no chicken broth that I'm going to use today. You do not have to. If you are SOS free, do not use bouillon cubes instead, because this does have a little bit of oil and some sea salt in there. So it's not SOS compatible. I also am going to use, I went to Lidl, or Lidl, I never know how to say it. It's like an Aldi version, kind of, so they're from the same area. And they have sometimes some cool things. And so I got these family-sized strained tomatoes. I probably won't use this whole thing, but look, I can close it up and put it back in the fridge. So that alone makes me pretty happy. And Jackie said she's having leftover potato soup for breakfast. Yum, potato soup. I'm kind of waiting because I'm actually going to be doing a live on making my Halloween potato soup later this month for Idaho potatoes. But yeah, they're potatoes that I'm putting in this soup too, because I want something warm and filling and tasty with very low entry level effort to it. And I see quite a few people are here, so say hello, tell me where you're from. How are you feeling today? Or did you wake up feeling super energetic? And I want to talk about one other ingredient, and then I'll do the overhead and let you see what's going on. So I'm using red lentils, or masoor dal, if you're at the Indian market and want to get them a little bit less expensive. They're come in bigger bags, but they're well worth it. These are going to just melt away. So they're going to be part of the broth. If I wanted something, this is another thing I get at the Indian market, which is mixed lentils. They used to have these at Whole Foods, and they called them an autumn lentil mix. Let me see if I can give you, ooh, let's see if we can focus that camera. There we go. And see, these are nice. They're actually organic. And vegan, marked very clearly. Hi, Midge from Washington State. It is awesome to see you. And you can even see through the writing and stuff how pretty these are. So some of these will melt right away, and some of them are going to stay whole. So if you wanted a little more bean texture, lentil texture in your soup, it's not going to be like lentil soup, but it would be varying textures and creaminess. The masoor dal is just going to add some creaminess, which I thought would balance out well with potatoes. And I use whatever mixed vegetable I have, which always includes peas, carrots, corn. These have green beans and lima beans too, so that's just a bonus. So, so let's get some of this stuff into our slow cooker. And let's get that slow cooker actually where you can see it. Look at that. See, I told you I wasn't totally on board. So this morning, as far as like, woo, I'm not sharp as a tack. This is my Hamilton Beach slow cooker that does 2, 4, and 6 quarts. You can't buy it anymore. Thanks. Anything I like, anything that does an easy way to do multiple sizes of slow cookers seems to die away. This is probably 4 to 5 cups of potatoes. It's however many potatoes I was able to grab and felt like cutting up. So literally, that's how I made my decision. I'm going to put these on the bottom. Since I'm going to cook it all day, it doesn't really matter. But these vegetables, I'm going to put a little bit further up. They are frozen, so it's going to take longer to cook. Oops, here we go. Longer to cook. But I just kind of like to do that. Hi, Susan from, is it Wixall? Shropshire, UK. My goodness, you're from very far away from me. I am in Durham, North Carolina in the US. And Brandy says good morning. And she said she missed what I'm making. I'm making lazy person vegetable soup. I woke up not feeling the day. I think I'm tired. I might have a little bit of allergies or cold going on. So I am proactively making my dinner better by throwing some things into the slow cooker and making a nice, super easy vegetable soup that probably any of you guys can make with what you have on hand right now. And I'll give you alternatives. If you didn't have potatoes or you have rutabagas, turnips, some other root vegetable, parsnips, carrots, that would all work fine too. Oh, awesome. Jackie said she saw a show filmed in our area. It is beautiful here. I will say that for sure. And Brandy says that speaks to my soul. It speaks to mine too today. Awesome. Okay, now that we're all caught up, and if anybody else wants to tell me where you're from, I would love that because I like hearing those sorts of things. I'm putting in about a cup of red lentils, also known as masoor, M-A-S-S-O-O-R dal, that you can get at the Indian market. And then I'm going to put in, I'm going to tear open, and sometimes I would drain this. This is an old pack of vegetables. Let me just be clear about that. I'm not trying to hide that fact from you. I'm just going to let that ice be part of my broth and live good. I have done much older vegetables than this, I assure you. Okay. And Leslie says she loves it from Ocala, Florida. That's where Cheryl's parents live, is in Ocala. How to get the recipe? Well, I'm making the recipe up as we go along, and I will probably write it out later today. Tonight, I will be opening the slow cooker and readjusting things. But for right now, I would say 3 to 4 cups of cubed potatoes, 1 cup of red lentils. This was a 1-pound bag of mixed vegetables. This one happened to have lima beans in it. But you know what I'll do? I'll measure some of the other stuff I put in. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some spices too, or herbs really. I'm going to use garlic powder and onion powder because I'm slow cooking. The whole reason I'm slow cooking today is because I don't want to cook anything on the stove. Don't want to saute onions and garlic today, though I often will for the slow cooker. If you don't feel it, just add granulated. It's still, there's nothing artificial in here, so I'm going to put about a teaspoon of garlic. Okay. And actually, let's do 1.5 teaspoons of garlic, just in case I have a cold. And Brandy loves potatoes and mixed vegetables. And I'm going to put a heaping 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, Brandy may choose to put more. She's sometimes puts more onion than I do. I'm going to put 2 bay leaves because these are kind of small, so about that much bay leaf, okay? And we'll tuck that around the side, and actually it's probably more interesting to watch it happen in here than it is to watch me do like my little magic trick with showing you the spices. I'm going to put a little bit of celery seed in here, so I'm going to put about a 1/4 teaspoon of celery seed. If I wasn't lazy, maybe I'll put 3/4 of a teaspoon. As soon as I smelled it, I was like, a little more of that, please. So that's why that happened. Let's put a teaspoon of marjoram in there. And I'm going to adjust the, let's put 2 teaspoons of marjoram, because some of these are going to dull down during the cooking process. So one of the things that I always do, and actually I'm putting it over here in a corner, is wherever I have this cooking, I have all the spices I used in the recipe next to it. I just leave it there until I undo it and readjust. So that's something important to do. Yeah, Brandy loves her onion and garlic. And Sharon says, love your video, watching from Vancouver. Thank you so much. And I'm going to put a 1/2 teaspoon of regular paprika. Sometimes I'll put smoked, but I am out of smoked paprika. So I might have to put some liquid smoke in there. We're going to put a teaspoon of thyme. And quite honestly, these amounts of ingredients are slightly arbitrary because we are going to be adding most of these back again before we eat. So I like some of it does cook into some of the broth and the ingredients, but the nature of slow cooking, and in fact, the pressure cooking as well, will dull some of these flavors. So it's really to make the best use of whatever's in your slow cooker. It's to season, taste, reseason before serving every single time. And just because I decided, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to put a teaspoon of turmeric in and just give that a try. I think it'll make a really beautiful broth. Turmeric is good for us. Where could we go wrong? I'm going to take one of these broths. So this is about 4 cups of veggie broth. Again, if you're doing an SOS or a whole food plant-based diet, you're not doing any oil or salt. This is low sodium, but there is sodium. There's salt in here. There is, and I'm kind of shocked, a little bit of oil in this. You could use a bouillon cube, and if you want to make your own bouillon cubes, it's just about as easy as this. And in fact, you can make it in your slow cooker. Cut up 2 onions. Do you want to remove the wraps and everything? And you can get the slow cooker, stovetop, and oven recipe on healthy slow cooking. If you want to make it in your Instant Pot, you can get the recipe on plant-based Instant Pot. But it's just onion, carrot, celery, and thyme cooked down, then pureed with nutritional yeast. And that's how I make mine. But today, oh my goodness, Chris from Dubai. Thank you. Awesome. Well, I don't know how you got here either, but you are so welcome to be here. We're really glad to have you. Dubai is kind of one of those places on my bucket list, though. Being a Harry Potter fan, the UK is very, very much on my bucket list. So we've got about 4 cups of broth. And Ashley said she's super anxious this morning because she has a job interview around noon. She's been unemployed because of COVID, so I appreciate your stream so much. I had no idea Imagine had no chicken broth. I know so many people have some really good faux chicken broths, but if you actually put nutritional yeast in with the bouillon, like I got these at that Amazon return store I've been going to, so I think I got both of them for $1, so 50 cents each. Whereas it probably costs you $1 to make enough bouillon. And with that bouillon, you make a lot. You puree it, and then you can freeze it in ice cream trays. And so then I just pull out my little Ziploc and plop some in. Is what I usually do. So since I haven't used this broth, I'm going to smell it. And this is one of the things that I do a lot when I'm cooking. Even without it doing a whole lot, it smells pretty good. I'm I'm almost rethinking if I want tomato in this at all. Don't you hate it when you're like in the middle of doing something, you're like, but I'm gonna show you what I normally do. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I think I'm gonna end up putting some in because Cheryl would really like it. So, and so what I do is, and I would do this if it was another spice, whatever you're cooking, smell that thing over it. So when you're smelling the two things together, you will get a very innate primal reaction if that's a good thing to do or not. You'll either be like, ooh, that smells tasty, or ooh, that's okay, or no. So trust me, you will. And when I did one cooking class, I actually passed around two things that went together, then two things that didn't, so people could see that they do know. So let's start off, and let's put maybe a ½ cup. And then I'm going to see how, I suspect I'm going to go bigger than a ½ cup. And Ashley, we all wish you good luck on your interview today. You're going to kill it and win it, and we will all be very happy for you. So you have to let us know, too, how it goes, and even if after your interview, if it's a job you want. Yeah, see, that's not quite enough. I need at least a cup. So I'm going to add another ½ cup in here. And another reason why I like doing this, so you guys can see what my process is, because some people mistakenly think that cookbook authors just somehow magically know the formulas in their head. But what it is we're pretty brave people. We'll just kind of dive on in there. Okay, I'm going to smell it. And I think we could even go a little more. Now I'm feeling the tomato a little bit more. So let's do another ½ cup. Because in my mind to start off with, I was going to make this kind of a tomato, and this is just strained tomato. Pureed tomato would work just fine. Your pureed tomato could have a stronger flavor. That's something to know too. So I'm just going to give this a taste since this is a new to me product. I mean, it's not going to taste good. Yeah, the strained tomatoes are quite thin. Let's see. Now we're going to make it 2 cups total. So it's just going to have a light tomato flavor. What I might choose to do, I could do it now or I could do it on correction tonight. If this isn't quite the way I wanted to, I could go ahead and add in some tomato paste to get that darker umami flavor too. But I think for right now, 2 cups of this is going to do just fine. I brought up some water in case sometimes if I was using crushed tomatoes, it might have made things too thick and bright flavorful, and I might need to tone it down, but I definitely don't at this point. Oh, awesome. Ashley's going to give us the good news. So let's all keep Ashley in our thoughts today because we want her to get this awesome job. And I want to hear some good news tonight. And also, Ashley, if you get there and you feel like it's not the job for you, we all support you in whatever you decide to do. So know that. Hi, Susan. Okay, great. You guys, I'll let you, here's what we're looking at. So you can see it's kind of tomatoey. Probably what I'm going to do too when we come back tonight is I'll probably add some extra nutritional yeast. I'm going back and forth if I want to add mushrooms, but I think what I might do, because I don't feel like cutting them up right now or going downstairs and getting them out of the freezer, is I might even add a little mushroom powder. So mushroom powder, tomato powder is another thing I could add instead of tomato paste. And those would all be things, a nutritional yeast to add some extra umami in case the soup just kind of tastes thin. So sometimes things are one note. And we want to sometimes, we all know about adding a little balsamic or some lemon juice or things like that to get that top note. Sometimes that bottom note is that umami. And so you can always add some of those things. If you are allergic to nutritional yeast, you should try working with some mushroom powder and tomato powder, because that can be pretty amazing too. Hi, Tammy. Tammy asked, what about V8 juice? I think that would be perfect. That would be great. The only time you might want to be nervous about using V8, because there's a lot of sodium in there, is if you were cooking not red lentils. So like if we were cooking pinto beans, actually even with pinto beans, I wouldn't even put the strained tomatoes in there. But for vegetable soup, that would be amazing. And okay, great. That's all I'm seeing so far. So I see a whole bunch of people on. Oh, Jackie says she dehydrates mushrooms and makes powder. Yay. I'm all about that. So I do that with tomatoes because I'm evidently the only person who's not a fan of cherry tomatoes. I don't like the way they pop in my mouth. It makes me uncomfortable and surprised and discombobulated. So what I do is when I get them, either I give them to my friend Mia if I'm meeting up with her, or I slice them in half and dehydrate them and grind them into tomato powder. And doing that with mushrooms is great too. Someone was talking the other day that they get dehydrated mushrooms from Costco. And I've done that before, and I've still gone ahead and toasted them up a little bit in a dehydrator or an oven or an air fryer. You just want to make sure you don't cook them or burn them if you're doing something like that, that you're just drying them out, okay? And Brandy said she's not a fan of cherry tomatoes either. So, okay, at least there are 2 people in my club now. And if you like them, I'm happy with that, because when I get them by mistake, you could be the person I give them to. But yeah, so, and I love what Tammy's thinking, because what I want you to go is, well, I don't have what Kathy has. Okay, we could use potatoes, we could use carrots, we could use sweet potatoes, we could use rutabagas, turnips, parsnips, any of those for the potato layer. If you didn't happen to have mixed vegetables, you probably have some peas, corn, maybe you have carrots, maybe you have some frozen green beans, or if you could do this with fresh just as easily. I keep a bag of these, and I know some of you guys have come on later. These are just the cheap Sprouts mixed vegetable. These could be the cheap Kroger mixed vegetables. Really anything that you want. I used some no chicken broth because I had some, and honestly I need to use it up. I'm tired of it sitting on my counter. And a soup is it's just like an opportunity for broth. But you could use if you don't have that and you want to make it right now, you have bouillon cubes, or if you don't, we could even still do it without anything, any bouillon cubes or broth. Just at the end, we'll probably hit it a little harder with that umami layer, right? Because right now, with all the stuff we have, it's a little middle note. We probably, we being me, may decide to add some balsamic vinegar on top, you know, kind of as a garnish. I don't know if I'd put it all the way in, but that would also be really nice and tasty. You could also, to get that top note, we could take the outer layer of peel, like maybe a 1 or 2 inch by ½ an inch. I'm really bad with that, but just like a strip of lemon peel with all the white part removed. You can just take a knife and just scrape that off. You can put that in there, and that'll add that lemon flavor, which can be really delicious too. And Jackie says, I don't love raw tomatoes as much as others. I dehydrate tomatoes too. Yeah, I totally get that. And Ashley says that her partner concurs on the cherry tomato issue too. Okay, whew. And you know what's crazy though, is every time spring comes and you like go to the Home Depot or whatever, and you see like the little cherry tomatoes in the basket growing, but they're not there yet. I'm like, I want it so bad, because I'm so ready for spring that I'm like, I want something that grows, even if I'll just give them all away. So I'm trying to think if there's any other, you know, we could put some white beans in here. We could put regular celery chopped up, regular carrots chopped up, not frozen. You could just do so many different things. So this is kind of a catch-all whatever happens now soup. And so again, with the other ones from last week, I haven't had Cheryl or Dawn strip them and put them together yet. So at that point, I'll write up a recipe and put it on the blog. But I also want to empower you guys in that just try. Just put a few things in there. So what we've got in here spice-wise is we've got marjoram and thyme. I'm trying some turmeric. Never put turmeric in here before. We've got paprika and bay leaves. And then kind of for, for laziness, we've got garlic powder, onion powder, and ground celery seeds. So that's all going to add to the yumminess. Yeah, and Ashley says white beans would be great with the lemon. It's true. And white beans would be great with the balsamic as well. So there's all kinds of little things you can do to tweak things and make it your own. And I know that you can do it. So if you feel like, A, you're at home and you don't want to be bothered with dinner tonight, you just want to give yourself a present, go get your slow cooker out. And this is one, you can't make all the slow cooker recipes in your Instant Pot on the slow cooker setting because there's just some weird stuff that happens. But if you're doing a soup like this, you absolutely can. So even if you don't have a slow cooker and you have an Instant Pot, you can make this on your Instant Pot on the slow cooker setting. At this time, I will probably go ahead and put it on low because it's usually 7 to 9 hours on low something cooks. It can be done earlier. Usually I say till 9 so people know that it'll hold if they're driving home from work. You could also make this later today and put it on high and cook it for like 3 to 4 hours. So, or any combination thereof. Okay, guys. I will see you later tonight for the soup unveiling, and so you can say hi to me before I have dinner. Okay? Have a great day.